All right.
You do not want to see everything I was just doing
I
right
can see you. I can see you. They can't see you, but
now.
I
Okay,
can
yeah,
see
don't tell them then.
you.
I messed up my hair and everything trying to that
All
music,
right, all
boy.
right.
How you doing, Dion Branch?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. House money, mama.
Yes, ma'am. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you. It's another water cooler Wednesday, and we're so
Water
excited.
Cooler Wednesday. Yes, it is.
Right. We're so excited to be here every week to talk to you guys about different topics about buying and selling your home, just about the real estate market itself. So we're excited to be here.
So, who are you?
My name is Dione Branch, and I am with EXP Realty, and my team's name is Allure Dream Home.
Hmm. And who am I?
You're right. Who are you?
It's Lisa White, Lisa J, the house money mama. I'm the mama that's got the money for your house. So if you're ready to buy, sell, refi, we are the team for you.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So we're definitely so excited to be here today to talk about November. Right. A lot of
November.
people are always concerned about should I be purchasing in November and December, really. But
Right.
we're really talking about November. But
Well,
because
just for context, most we do live in Illinois, up in the Chicagoland area. And so, I think like depending on where you are, that the answer to that question could be maybe a little bit different depending on where you are. But yeah.
yeah. But do you think it's because of the weather or it's because of the holiday?
I think some of it is actually because of the weather, but
Mhm.
holidays definitely play hugely into people's decision to buy or sell when it comes to this time of year. Because
Yeah.
there's so many different things. I mean, even for us right now, I don't know about you, but today was just one of those days where so much stuff going on. I couldn't keep up with everything. I still got tons of stuff to do when we get off from our live today because people get humped up, humping and ramping up and stuff for the holidays,
Hmm.
doing this and doing that here, there, and everywhere. And so sometimes that does end up playing into how things operate in our field. So I do
Yeah.
definitely think it has something to do with the holidays too.
Yeah. And so I would say don't believe the myths because a lot of people are like, oh, people don't buy during that time.
Hmm.
I mean, the market does go a little slower,
Yeah.
but people definitely do purchase and sell homes during this time. So
You know what? I think though, actually, this I know you said it goes slower, but to kind of be a caveat to that, it also is more intense, like more serious buyers and more serious sellers.
yeah.
Because around this time of year, historically, people don't want to have to winterize their home, especially if they've already moved on, they're not living in it. Then they
Hmm.
don't want to have to spend the money and the time to winterize their home and then wait like 4 or 5 months before they put it back on the market again for the spring market. Because most
Right.
people wait until probably what around April maybe if they decided not to sell their home now.
And that's definitely one of the things that I was going to say.
Okay.
There, as far as with buyers, there's more motivated sellers
Yep.
and more motivated buyers, right? So the sellers are motivated because they want to make sure that they sell their property before the end of the year, before the weather
Mhm.
changes,
Yep.
before they don't want to winterize their home and have it sitting for a long period of times, especially during Illinois when the weather gets really cold and then you're not using your water, things like that. So sellers have
Yeah.
a concern with that by having their house just sitting and stuff.
Hmm.
So that definitely um, motivates people. So as a buyer, you know that your seller is actually really motivated to buy and then
Yep.
motivated to sell. And then what happens is, as a buyer, sometimes you can get a lower price because of that, right? So the seller um may be more willing to negotiate with you on different
True.
things, whereas when there's more buyers during the spring and summertime, and so
Yeah.
the
They have more choices. Yeah,
right,
like
yeah,
kind of like the supply and demand rule. But
mhm,
also, because just to be clear, because our audience, they may not understand how the numbers work together. So, in addition to you sometimes being able to negotiate a lower sales price, you may also be able to negotiate seller credits,
yeah,
right? Because if they're willing to negotiate, just period, then you keep the sales price the same, but now they say, okay, we'll sell it to you for this amount, but we'll also give you $5,000 or $10,000 in credits to help decrease what you'll have to end up bringing to closing for your cash to close. So both of those things can happen: either decrease in the actual sales price of the property, or you can end up having an increase in money at closing that can help you to
help you with your
so
closing
your
costs.
yeah, so your
Hmm.
debt, you don't have
Right,
to take on so much of an expense. I shouldn't call it a debt, but that expense, you don't have to take on so much of it.
right, yeah. So yeah, so definitely this time, as for buyers, those are some of the pros. For buyers, some of the cons are that there is limited inventory. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
because
true.
some of the sellers decide that they want to wait until maybe till after the holidays because they're concerned about if there's going to be enough buyers out there.
Hmm.
So, as a buyer, you might find that there's less inventory out there. Um, Currently, the market, we've kind of increased in our inventory, but starting out in 2024, the whole year was kind of like a lower inventory.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
because there's still a lot of people were concerned with the interest rate, things like that.
Hmm.
So that was preventing people from selling their property. So con is in November. Typically, you might have less inventory during this time.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And so then as far as like what you said, since you kind of segue into interest rates, not sure if you know, but the Feds did have another meeting,
Hmm.
and that interest rate that they changed, which we talked about this a little bit before, but it's not a mortgage rate. It's actually the interest rate for the overnight exchange, that they're playing around with. But it does usually impact mortgage rates. So they decreased the interest rates on that overnight exchange product, um, but actually by 25 basis points, I think it was. But actually, what that did in this time around is it actually increased the rates for mortgage.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, we kind of coming back up a little bit.
Hmm.
Today I priced out a loan. I had to price it at 6.749, whereas the past few, but his score is a little bit lower. So I think maybe with somebody with a higher score, I'll still be able to fare a little bit better. By me being a broker, I do have a lot more options and a little bit more leniency in the way I'm able to structure things and set stuff up. So I'm still competitive, but I am seeing a little bit of a shift because of the announcement with the 25 basis point decrease. We actually have seen a little bit of an uptick in mortgage rates. So,
Okay, well
so
that's
there's
good.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more with after the election. A lot of people have some predictions as far as the interest rate is going, how it's going to go, and so
Yeah,
as we go into 2025, because we're like knocking at the door,
yeah, we sure are.
right? So we'll definitely see, definitely see some changes there. But
Yes.
one of the another concern is like we talked about a little bit was the weather, right? And
Hmm.
how the weather affects the buyer and the seller. So yeah, we kind of talked about with the seller and making sure the home is weatherproof, but also with the seller, they have to kind of make sure that they still have curb appeal. So
Yeah.
During the fall, the leaves are falling, it's rainy, a lot of snow. So you still, that curb appeal that you'll have during the summertime, you may not have
Yeah.
the
Might
same.
lose it. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You might
So
not have
how
it.
do people deal with that though then? If they really want to sell, so they want
Yeah.
to keep the house on the market until it sells. And what do they have to do? What do they normally?
Well, I mean, as far as the weather is concerned, as a listing agent, we try to make sure that there's still ways of making sure the outside looks nice, adding wreaths to the door, decorating
Okay.
a little bit, things like that. And then, as people coming into your home, we always try to make sure that we kind of like weatherproof it, whereas,
Hmm.
you as a buyer, you might have to put on plastic covers
Those
on your.
little footies, right? I was
Right,
just gonna say the little footies for your shoe. Okay. Yeah.
right. So then that way you're not really just like tramping like water and everything all throughout,
Right.
throughout the home.
Yeah.
So there are definitely a lot of options. And then especially we kind of mentioned it earlier about winterizing. As sellers, you can definitely winterize your house, and it's very important to do when the temperature starts to go down.
Hmm.
It starts to drop, so making sure that all the water is out of your lines, and
Hmm.
so that nothing there, it doesn't freeze and burst, because that's the last thing we want to happen
Right.
to your
Right.
house. Right.
Right. And
So
the thing about that too is on the lending side, on my side, that actually can have an impact on a transaction. It could
mhm.
lengthen it because I've had this happen before where the person was in contract and the home had already been winterized. So then when we sent the appraiser out there, they're like, well, I can't give you an as is appraisal. I wasn't able to turn on the water and make sure it worked.
Right. Yeah.
you know, and we had to go back and forth. I'm like, hey, the appraiser needs to get out there. Did you send somebody over there to update the house so that this they can run the water and do the things they need to do to check out that everything is working properly? And there was a lot. I remember that one. That was the oh my goodness. I'm not even gonna say how I felt about that long. That one though challenged my patience.
All
So
of them aren't easy. We gotta have some difficult, some that we remember more than the others.
yes, yeah. But that is definitely something that can come into play, the winterization of the home and how that impacts the appraisal. I've also had it where, let me think, the air conditioning unit,
Yeah.
because I guess you can't run them in the wintertime.
Right, doing the home inspection. So as buyers are doing home inspections, that's a good thing that they need to note that you are not able to run that central air unit during the wintertime after the
Hmm.
temperature is below 30 degrees,
Yeah,
right, then inspectors will not turn on that central air, because they could risk damaging it, and then they'll be
yeah,
liable, so they don't like to do that. They won't
right.
do it.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Another thing I actually thought about is that something else that kind of elongates the time, how it affects the timeline for
Mhm.
purchasing is just the holidays in general.
Yeah,
Because even though like me and you, well, you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, maybe not 24 hours a day, maybe about 20. So
I do get 5 hours. Give me 5. Give me 5.
so, but I work Monday through Friday, 8 until 6. And then the people on my operations team, like processors, underwriters, things like that, they're not in the office on the Saturday. They weren't in the
No.
office on Monday when it was Veterans Day. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So all of those are days that get away from us. Whereas normally we would have a 5-day week, as far as a work week. Now maybe we only have a 3-day work week. And it's really only like two, because on the third day of the work week, they really already checked out anyway.
Yeah, right. Right. Thanksgiving week is a 2-day week, not a not a 2.5, like
Right.
most
Yeah.
companies have it. But
Yeah.
I have so heard that sometimes properties close faster during
Hmm.
this time.
It's possible. but to be real honest with you, it's not very likely. So that would be an unusual thing that would happen, that they close faster. But I will say this, because of the fact that inventory is usually down, not
Yeah.
as as many willing to sell. Um, you don't have as much of a backlog for the
Mhm.
operations team. Like
Yeah.
for example, normally when I send in a file to be underwritten, that underwriting has to take place within a certain time frame, but they will elongate the time frame if it's a time when it's busy. So if we're in, like, say, June, July, August, or maybe even September, the wait times to get through to an underwriter could be longer, just because
Mhm.
of the fact that it's more people in line. I think of underwriting as almost like a conveyor belt. Like, if you've seen people work in a factory, they place something on the conveyor belt and then everything goes in that order. Underwriting is the same way. All these different loans that are getting submitted every day, not just yours, but
Yeah.
everybody's loan that gets submitted gets put in this little line like it's on a conveyor belt and gets to the underwriter. They take it off, do what they're supposed to do with it, put it back on the line so it can go to the next person. So, but when the line is backed up, because it's June, July, August, then that can, obviously take a little bit longer. But if it's November, December, the line may not be as backed up. So in that respect, yes, like you can probably come out of underwriting sooner or something like that. I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible.
So I think it just all depends, because even the appraiser may have less property to appraise, so they're able to get to the property a little sooner and give you your report back, and
As long as
as
they get
well.
stuck by an ice storm, yes.
Yeah, right. And you also have the home inspector. So the transaction relies on a lot of different people, and
Right,
that's why it's always good. We're working together as a team and making sure that all the moving pieces are moving along,
right.
and so that's why it's great to work with us, because we know what we're doing.
That we do.
Right, right. So, um, anything else?
So, so was there anything else you had as far as pros and cons? Did you look up some myths about buying in the winter? Any?
No, I didn't look up any myths this time along. So, but
Okay,
I mean,
because I like when you do the myth busters.
oh, yeah, no myths. I would say that for investors, this is a good time too, right? A lot of
Yeah.
investors tend to actually try to purchase before the end of the year,
Okay.
because
Why is
they're
that?
able, right, because of their taxes, being able to purchase and then use that as far as their taxes for the next year. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times I'll find investors like, "Hey, damn, give me one property before I need to close before December 31st." And I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay, all right." So
Yeah, I can get you a property, no problem, no problemo.
exactly, exactly. So
And
they.
actually, so I'm not a tax professional. Neither is
Mm,
Dion. Just so you all know, so we're not giving tax advice. We wouldn't do that. But that is actually a good point because, in owning your home, I know even just as a homeowner, not necessarily investor, but you do have the right to itemize. And a lot of times, those things that you itemize are, directly tied to the purchase. Like for example, the points, and then the acquisition of the home. Once you already have it, you can itemize your what do you call it? The property taxes. So that's an itemizable item. Itemizable item. I think that works. Okay, yeah, I'll go with it.
mm,
So so there are different things you can do to kind of help to offset your tax liability by being a homeowner or becoming a first time buyer or whatever that might be. But yeah, definitely that's something to think about and take into consideration.
yeah, yeah. I think one of the notes I had here was just about sellers. A lot of times, sellers are still in the house during the holiday season, so
Mhm.
November and December.
Mhm.
And so, as buyers, you have to understand that you have to be a little bit more reasonable with your showings, because
Yeah.
the seller, they don't want to open the door on Thanksgiving Day, or maybe even
Right.
right, or maybe even the day after, because they're enjoying their downtown, their
Their
family
holiday,
time,
yeah.
And so, although this is still a good time for you to buy and to sell your house, there's some considerations that you have to play between each other as
Mm-hmm.
far as availability of the property. And a lot
Right.
of times, if I had sellers that were still in the house, though,
Mm-hmm.
I would say 24-hour notice
Okay.
before for your request. So that gives you 2 days for the seller to determine, to say be ready for your showing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, because I'm not a realtor, so I don't know what you guys have to do on that side. But is there anything that you would do different in regards to, like, I don't want to use the term staging, but maybe what would be different that you would need to do in preparation for an open house or in preparation for somebody, to come by and do a showing?
Right. Well, I would say we would still do the open houses. If I was, listing your home, we would still do the steps that we normally do. We will still
Okay.
host the open house, but I may, ask for more flowers, more, like holiday season
Okay.
decor. So
Mhm.
we have to be careful. Everyone doesn't celebrate, Christmas and New Year's, but just being more decorating your house so that it's more inviting, I believe
Mhm.
will always help with buyers coming in, because what they want to do is, some people don't have the vision, right? So
Right.
right. So some people want to, so if you have your house set up nicely, even maybe put up your Christmas tree,
Mhm.
during this time, even if the house is empty, and because the lights outside, how the lights in the house, makes your house glow. It makes it so warming
That's
to the
true.
eye,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
That people are like, oh wow, they can see. Oh wow, yes, I will definitely put our tree there. I could see
Yeah.
how so now as a buyer, you've kind of placed yourself in the home, right?
Mhm.
So now you're excited about the house. Um,
Scents too, right? Because I know one of the things I like, if I walk into a room and it smells good, it smells
mhm,
nice. Like I just went to Jewel, I think day before yesterday to get I forget what I was picking up, but I stopped in real quick to pick up something. As soon as I walked in the door, they had the pine cones and stuff out with the cinnamon and everything on them.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, that smells so nice. You
right.
know.
That's right. It just
So
makes
it
you
make it
melt.
makes a difference though, like because if you think about it, a lot of times, except for what you visually see on the outside, like how you just mentioned, but a
Mhm,
lot of times that's really kind of the first impression you get. You open up the door, and then some scent is gonna meet you at the door. Something
yeah,
you're gonna smell
something.
something as soon
Right.
as you open the
Mhm,
door.
yeah,
So it would be nice if you smell cinnamon or
yeah.
something that's really
Cookies,
nice and
baked
fragrant.
cookies, right? So
Baked cookies, okay, yeah.
right. So if you're doing an open house, a lot of times the realtors might pop in some cookies in the oven, and then to give that scent, or nowadays we could just get some candles.
Right, baked cookie scents.
Baked cookie scents, right, right. So uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that so it's always something inviting for the buyers when they're coming to the home.
Hmm. Absolutely. So I know, it always happens really fast, but it's like 6:24.
Yeah,
So you're not gonna say this time I was the one that made us get off late. It ain't gonna be
mhm.
on me this time.
Yes, 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 it all, yes, yes. Yeah, she talks.
Right. Dion be like, you the one be taking us over.
You're right. Right, right.
Was not me today.
Well, we are so excited for you guys to be here with us. And so we want to ask you to go ahead and click the subscribe for our channel, and subscribe and notify, so you can be notified when the next time that we're going live.
Hmm.
And if you are interested in getting a pre-approval, you can always contact Lisa,
That would
House
be
Money
me.
Mama, and she can start you with your pre-approval process and get you started. And if you're interested in selling or buying, you could give me a call and I can help you. I can always provide a market update for you for your property, let you know what the value of your home will cost. I mean, would sell for. So
No.
what the value of your home would sell for, and and we can decide what's the best time for us to list your property. Are you ready now, or do you want to wait until January or February? We're here for you.
All right. Another great
Uh,
show.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
See you later, everybody. Next week, Wednesday, 6 o'clock, same time, same place.
Same place.